Okay. You said something that I was going to say something about now. About the committee.
That's good. I'll give that to
Dr. Dakotas, we are, as you know, probably more keenly than anybody, on a real time crunch to come up with the maps we got to decide what we're going to do about East Fayette, and then we got to come up with maps, and we're trying to do that in the next 3 weeks, right? Do you think it is reasonable, possible, or anything like that, after we had the public hearing next week, and then we meet again on the 11th, which I guess that's when we'll have to vote on, if we decide to change East Fayette, then we have to vote on it then, is that correct? If we decide to do something different, we'll have to vote on it.
The 11th I would see as a workshop to discuss, hopefully after the board hearing on December 3rd. That is the 3rd, isn't it? That next Monday, the 3rd, that there would be some kind of charge to the staff or committee to make adjustments or whatever to the maps, including what we want to do with East Fayette, and then come back and have a workshop on the 11th, I think, and to talk about it further, to finalize that, and then at that point, whatever is kind of finalized at that workshop to be presented at the board meeting on the 17th.
Okay,
so the vote would take place, in my view, on the 17th, and that would include what we do with East Fayette as a part of what's going on with the vote on the boundaries.
Okay, so the committee is still active?
Well, that's something we'll have to decide, whether Mr. Sweat and the committee or Mr. Sweat and staff, you know, however you all feel, whether you want to keep them involved or whether they might feel like they've done everything they could at this point. They've met forever and ever. And I think they may want to hand it off to staff.
See, that's what I think, that if I were them, I would want to hand it off to staff now for the tweaks, but then I know that they might be feeling the proprietary over it, and would you want to be involved in the tweaks? I think that for efficiency's sake,
it's ours.
I think it's hard to pass it off.
I don't think so. See,
I can pass it off.
okay, there's going to be disagreement about that. Somebody else might have to make that decision.
Inside out and backwards.
Let's wait until after the hearings, the public hearings on the 3rd, and then probably somebody who's not on the committee is just going to have to decide how that's going to be. We'll just have to see about that. Is there anything else you can think of that you need us to be thinking about? Anything you want to add to this conversation? Because you've been pretty quiet over there, but
well, I think the
this
committee,
is coming down to us.
Yeah, I think the committee's done a great job. They've worked very hard. Years ago we had a committee. Some of you may have been on it. And we had a lot of issues with it. And the last couple of times we did not have a committee of citizens. We had one several years before that. In fact, Mr. Oliver was the chairman of the committee back then.
1997.
And there were a lot of issues with it, and I have to say that this committee has worked better. The process has worked better this time. Not because of Mr. Oliver. It was things beyond. there were things beyond his control. There were things beyond his control. The way it was set up.
Well, before the committee disbands, I'd like for them to give to you and you to share with us. They've been through the process. Tell us what we should have done differently that would have made your job easier. As you go
in the
In the 200 words or less.
We've got group email address. We can be sure that we get that because I know how opinionated they are, Dr. Todd. They'll let us know.
But in all seriousness,
I'm serious.
we've been through a process, and there are some things you've learned. We don't want to make the same mistake.
No, I agree, and we can do some things better.
Yeah, we can talk about that later, that's for another day, but, we've all learned things. There are things that I would see that would work better for us if we did it again. We wouldn't be hung up where we are now if we had done some things different. But you don't know till you do it. You gotta learn.
That's
so
right.
we're learning.
And I hope we do have the tools, like you mentioned, from the consultant that we can use again. I mean, I think that was part of the agreement with them, was that some of these models and things we could make them our own for the next redistricting that we could do.
Is there Sam or NCW? This is it. I'm leaving after y'all answer this question. Anything else you want us to think about? Questions, comments, concerns? Have we forgotten to think about anything?